So my name is Winant, and together with my colleague Loic, we will talk about an hour about all major accounting flows and major accounting key features in Odoo 17. So the biggest part will, of course, as usual, be a live demonstration of the product. But before we dive into the demonstration, for the people that never seen Odoo before, we'll have a brief introduction about Odoo itself. So how can we better start than this beautiful slide of our marketing department, but which is very close to reality? If we take a look at any kind of company, they use different tools in order to manage their business, to run their business. So the biggest problem with that is that all those different tools need to communicate together, which is very expensive. And also if these tools need to upgrade, it's very time consuming for their resources. So that's exactly the reason why Odoo exists today. I like to compare Odoo always with a smartphone. On your smartphone, you can easily download, install different applications for private needs. Well, we basically do exactly the same in Odoo, but in our case, of course, for business needs. So as you can see over here, we have different applications, around 40, 50 applications that we manage at Odoo internally. It can go from website to e-commerce to sales, purchase, but also inventory, marketing, HR, and of course, accounting is always in the middle. So basically what we try to bring is an all-in-one solution instead of all different tools that need to communicate together. And if we take a bridge to the slide that we've shown right before, well, basically what we try to do is to reduce those 14 different applications as much as possible, so that your QuickBooks perhaps can be replaced by Odoo Accounting, or your Salesforce by Odoo CRM. And in best case scenario, well, you end up with one single tool with Odoo. So of course, we will not have enough time to discuss all of them today. We're going to focus on accounting, but not only on the accounting application itself, also how the accounting application fits seamlessly within Odoo ERP itself. So before we end the introduction and we dive into the demo, also a few words about our collaboration with accounting firms. It's about 4 or 5 years now that we try to collaborate with accounting firms so that they can use Odoo Accounting on a daily basis to manage the accounting of all of their customers. Now, there are many great accounting tools. I believe Odoo is one of them. But what we try to bring with Odoo is to work on a common platform between the entrepreneur and the accountant itself. It comes with great advantages. First of all, we've seen that try to aim for a single tool instead of different tools, but it has some great advantages for the entrepreneur and the accountant itself. So first of all, I believe for the entrepreneur itself, it will enable real-time accounting for them. So what does that mean, real-time accounting? I think it's best to compare, well, in the very beginning that we started that collaboration, a lot of customers were asking us, yeah, you're selling us an all-in-one solution, but in the end, it's not an all-in-one solution because at the end of the month, at the end of the quarter, I still need to export my data to my accountant. Don't you have any accountants that can directly work together with us on the same platform? I also try to compare it sometimes with a virtual wall. We see a lot of entrepreneurs, they receive their documents and they basically throw all of their documents over a virtual wall, and they hope that their accountant will fetch documents on the other side because there is no traceability for them. They don't see what happens with the documents, so that means that they really push it to the very last deadline, for example, for the VAT purposes. Well, when they start working with Odoo and use Odoo as a management system, we see they do it on a regular basis, so there is no pressure on the VAT return anymore for the accountant, and it's really updated in real time. But not only advantages for the entrepreneur itself, also for the accountants. I believe that for more than 10 years already, accountants are trying to evolve from an accountant to a trusted business advisor. So they want to focus more and more on advice. So how can they do that if they don't have all the information necessary to focus on the advice? I believe that if the accountant has access directly to the same management system of his customer, he doesn't only see a balance sheet with a result on there, he can deep dive into there and see the result, what's behind the figures. He can have an overview of his inventory management, of HR, of e-commerce, whatever. He has a 360 degrees of the business of his customer so that it's possible for him to advise and really be part of the customer. And last but not least, and that's what we will hope to bring with the demonstration, communication is way more easy. Today they need to use phone, WhatsApp, mail, send multiple mails in order to communicate together. If they work together on the same common platform, communication is everywhere. We're going to demonstrate in the demo right away. And last but not least, by working in collaboration, the administrative work of the entrepreneur will also be reduced because they will be able to benefit from each other's work. So that's it for the brief introduction. Most important part is the live demonstration. We're going to start right now. And therefore, we foreseen something special. We foreseen a role play situation between Loïc. Loïc will play my external accountant, and I will be an entrepreneur. And we're going to see how we can collaborate together on Odoo and benefit from each other's work. So it's focused on Loïc as being my external accountant, but of course, the same can be handled by an internal accountant as well. There is just a small focus on being the external accountant as well. So let's get started, and I will start by managing my documents directly in Odoo as an entrepreneur. And therefore, we're not going to start in Odoo itself. Today, definitely, we still receive a lot of different documents directly by mail. So we're going to see some different possibilities, how I can interact these documents directly in Odoo. The first one is to communicate by mail. I only have one to handle over here. I might have different ones. And my accountant just provided me with a specific mail alias, which I can just copy over here. And by forwarding all those different incoming mails to that mail alias, it will arrive directly on the right place in Odoo. And so that's exactly what I'm going to do over here. I just forward this mail from my supplier with a bill in there to a specific email alias, and we're going to see later where they arrive in Odoo. So I only have one here. So let's dive into Odoo now and see how we have other possibilities to interact documents with Odoo. I have some applications installed here on my Odoo dashboard. These are not all of them. If I want to install more of them, I can dive into the apps application. I can see the other ones that I can install right over here. But we're going to focus on the ones that are currently installed over here. And for this first part, we're going to dive into the document application. So the document application makes it possible to handle all kinds of documents. At the left side, we're going to see different workspaces. And depending on the workspace, we have different tags in order to easily filter your documents. So in this case, we're in the finance workspace. If I want to see all my VAT returns, I can easily click over here. We filter in all the documents, only the VAT returns. Same for salary slips. All of these tagged by salary, we can easily deep dive and filter them over here. And the same for HR, for example. We have other tags like ID cards, fines, contracts. You can basically manage it exactly how you want to manage your documents, with the great advantage that this is not local, but of course, completely online. So let's jump back to our inbox. I'm working here in a Belgium company, so I'm first going to filter all the incoming documents for Belgium. I can see that I have several that came in, and the one that we see here on the left side, if we open the chat or link to it, we can see that this one came from the mail that we just forwarded a few seconds ago. Now, I told you it's not only possible by forwarding emails. If you have the documents locally, you can easily click on the upload document in order to upload them locally on the cloud. Another possibility is to share a link with your customers. So if you open a second tab, we can see the link. It's something like this. It's a little bit like a Dropbox. You just share a link with your customer or with any kind of stakeholders. They don't need a user in Odoo. They can just upload the documents right from here. So I have a document right here. I can select the PDF. We upload it directly on the database. And when we come back, if we refresh our screen, we will see that the document automatically arrives at the right place with the right tag. I'm going to put full screen back. And we can see that my document is right over here. If I open it, it's not only bills, it's also a contract. And if we scroll down a little bit, we have a create note here. We have some fines. So different kind of documents. First thing I need to do is to make sure that I split them correctly so that all the ones that need to go to accounting can be managed by my external accountant. So I select all of them over here and I can go to the split view. So as from here, I can split my documents depending if they are multi-page or single page. I can do it by the mouse, click between all of them, but I can also use everywhere in Odoo keyboard shortcuts. If you want to know which ones are applicable, you can type Ctrl-K and you will see on the page all the different keyboard shortcuts that are available. So in the split documents, that means that I can use my arrows in order to navigate between the different documents. I can click on the enter button to have a look at it or to remove it. And by typing on the shift, I can select all my different bills together. So here, one is a bill, this is a credit note, and these are 2 bills as well. So I did my job. I'm not an accountant, so I have no idea how to manage them in my accounting application. So I'm going to notify my accountant. Right over here, I can notify my accountant. What happens? I split the documents, I send them into the right workspace, and we will see how Loïc, as my accountant, will be notified and manage these documents later on. I'm not done. I also have a contract, I believe. Yeah, it's a contract. I can select these 2 pages as well and send it to my contract workspace. And last but not least, here I have a fine. Also this one I can select together and click on the fine button in order to split them in the white workspace. So what happened now? If we have a look at our finance workspace, we can see we have some new documents. I can easily filter over here. These are the bills that we split a second ago, and they are now ready to be managed by my accountant. But also in the HR department, I can see that I have some documents to handle here. It's my contract and my fine that I sent right away. It's exactly the same way that we work at Odoo internally. We have no paper anymore at the office. Basically, we work with a third-party provider that scans all our paper mail, and on a daily basis, they forward it to an email alias, and our office manager will manage it every morning, send it to the right department, and they can even assign it to the right person because you can apply access rights on these as well. So last but not least, before I give the hand to my accountant, I also want to use, as an entrepreneur, Odoo, Odoo as a management system. So I want to be able to easily search for my documents as well. And we can do that based upon indexed content. So for example, if I want to find all the documents where we have electricity in there, I can easily type, for example, electricity and search for the indexed content. So in this case, I filter all my documents out which have the word electricity. I can see that I have some bills here, a lot of NG, but also a trial balance because I might have an expense account with the name electricity. So I can combine it with a search on the supplier as well. So for example, if I only want to filter out these of NG, I can filter on the contact as well. So my documents that I have on the screen now are all the ones containing the word electricity and coming from NG. And now I can use them in order to extract them in one bundle actually. So I'm done with the split of my documents. Loïc, I leave you the word as my accountant because in the end, I pay you to manage my accounting. Can you maybe handle those vendor bills and show how you can interact with me?
Yes, indeed, I will do that. But before diving into your file, I will go to the dashboard specifically for accounting firms. Because here you can see on the left all the files that I'm managing as an accountant. And you also have on the right different activities. You can, of course, filter on those activities to search, for example, all my clients where I've received some documents that I need to handle. And you can also combine these activities with the search tab that you have here. You can filter, of course, on a name, but you can also filter on the tags. Because here also you can put tags next to files. So for example, I put my name next to all the clients that I am managing, and so I can easily find them back. Now, if we go back to our previous view, you can see that we have here this one and this one. We have 2 different files, template files. Because when you create a database in Odoo, you will have specific accounts, specific VAT codes, and so on, and you will be able to adapt them. You can just do it in the template file, so you don't need to do it each time for each new client. You do it once in a template. You can then, after that, duplicate this template, rename it with the name of the new client, and you are directly ready to start. You can also see that there are different actions here that you can do, like invite someone, remove someone, but you can also select different files for this one, for example, and I can make the same action. So I can also invite someone, remove someone. So if, for example, I have a new colleague in my firm, I can just select all the files and invite this person to all the files in once. The same if someone is leaving, of course. It's also online, so to go on a file, you just click on connect and you are then in this specific file. You can, of course, connect to multiple files at the same time, or the same one you can open on different tabs. Now, if we dive into one, we will dive into Winant's file, of course. You can see here we have exactly the same. And again, we will not start with the accounting, but we'll see the documents that he sent previously, and if we can find them back. So here I go to the documents application. I will not go to the inbox. I will directly dive into the finance, because that's why he pays me for. So I will search on the new one. And here I can see the 4 invoices that Winant put here in this workspace. So I will select all of them. I see those are all vendor bills. So I will just in one click be able here to create my vendor bills. You see, we switch directly in the accounting, in fact. And here you will see that's the view that you will have in the accounting. Always on the right, the image of the invoice, and on the left, everything regarding the recording. This invoice already goes through our OCR, so I can just click here on the refresh button, and you see that everything is directly filled in. I will come back to this a bit later, but we will now go back again to our documents application. And here you see I don't have any new document anymore. Everything is posted. And if I select this one, for example, on the right, you will always have the link with our accounting app. So you will always have the link between all our applications. Now, this is great to put some documents in the accounting, but I can also use our documents application to request documents. For example, if I go here to our HR department with the ID card, I can here see a lot of IDs, but I don't see Winant's ID. So I will be able in one click to request some documents. So here I will say ID card. I will request to Winant, and I will give him, let's say, 2 days, because I want to have it quickly. And I will say here, hey Winant, can you please provide ID? And when I request this, Odoo will create what we call a placeholder in the right workspace, of course, with the right tag. And Winant will receive an email, and as soon as he will answer, the ID card will appear here and will replace this placeholder. So now I'm done with my documents application. Everything is good for me. So I will now dive into the accounting app. So I go to the accounting. Here you can see different blocks. Each block is in fact a specific journal, and I will focus on my vendor bills here. Because you see I have 4 bills to validate, of course. Those are the bills I just sent from my document application to the accounting. I will start with the first one. As I just told you before, you will always have the same view. On the right, the invoice itself, and on the left, everything regarding the recording. You can see that the vendor is filled in. If it's a new vendor in your file, no worries. We will connect to the VIS platform, and with the VAT number, we will create the vendor so that you don't have to do it manually. It will be done for you. You can also see that the bill reference was filled in. You can also click on the field to see where it comes from, and if you want to change it, for example, it's not the right information, you can just click on the invoice here, for example, you click on it, it changes, and as soon as you will confirm the invoice, it will learn from it, and the next time it will give you the right information. Here I will, of course, leave it as it was correct. You can also see the bill date is filled in, accounting date, and so on. But here again, in the accounting, you will see the link with the other apps, because you can see here above we have a smart button, and we have the link with our purchase. Because Winant made a purchase order for this invoice, and you can then see the purchase order that was made a couple of months ago. You can also see the receipt that is linked. So from the invoice itself, you can directly see all the links with all the other apps. Now, all the information here is filled in, but you can also see that we have a specific account that is filled in, a specific VAT code. And this is thanks to the AI that will fill in all the information based on a previous recording. It's also, I will show you a bit on the invoice, but you will see that it's also linked to a specific car. So I will be able here to add a new field. I can here add a car, and I can here select the right one. Okay, once I'm done, I will confirm the invoice, and we will see now directly that we have a second smart button here, and we have one asset that was created because we recorded the invoice on this specific account. When I go on this asset, what can I found? I can, of course, see the amount, the acquisition date that is linked, of course, from the invoice, but you can see also all the information regarding the depreciation. So the method that is used, the duration, but also all the accounts that are used for my depreciation entries. You can then switch here to the depreciation board, where you will see all my depreciation until the end of my asset. But to be honest, my favorite part is here all the posted entries, because you will see that Odoo posted every depreciation entry. All the one in the past are posted directly, and all the one in the future are in draft and will be posted automatically by Odoo at the right date. So as soon as you confirm the invoice, you create the asset, you don't need to think anymore about depreciation. Everything will be done for you automatically. Now I'm done with this one. I can switch to the next one. So here above, I can click on the arrow to go to the second invoice. Here, I will not tell you the same story again about all the fields are filled in automatically and so on. I imagine that now you understand everything. But here, what's interesting, you can see directly it's another account, it's another VAT code. And again, if I look at my invoice, you can see that it's an invoice for fees of 12 months. So I can just, again, here add a start and end date. So I will put here 1/2/23 until 31st of January 24. Okay, I will confirm. As soon as I confirm the invoice, I here have my different entries that are generated, where you can find them all back. And again, all the one in the past are directly recorded. All the one in the future are in draft and will be posted automatically by Odoo. Now I can go to the next one. I used the arrow, but you can also use shortcuts. So you just click on Alt and you see all the shortcuts that are available. So Alt N, and I go to the next one. Here we directly see that we have a warning because this bill might be a duplicate of another one. This simply based on a vendor, bill reference, amount, and date. But what's nice, you can just click on it and you will see here the other invoice that might be linked. You see that this one here is posted at that date, and here you see the draft one, so the one I'm now checking. I can go on this one. I see, okay, this one is posted, is already paid. I can see the bill reference. I can check the invoice, and I can easily see that it's the same one. So I will just delete this one, and now I'm done. Now, the last invoice we have, the last document Winan provided me is this document. It's not really an invoice. As you can see on the document, it's a credit note. So no worries, we send it as the other as vendor bills, but Odoo automatically detected that this was a vendor credit note, recorded this document as such, and you can directly see in the journal items that you have the expense account that is on the credit for this amount, and you can also directly see the tax grids that are impacted. So I'm fine with that. I will just confirm it, and now I'm done. So I've recorded all the invoices. So I will now go back to my dashboard, and I can directly see in red here, you see that I have my VAT return for the third quarter of 23 that I have to do because it's in red. I'm a bit late, sorry for that. But I will directly dive into it, and I can see there are unposted journal entries. Just need to click on it. Okay, I see that there are some customer invoices that are still in draft. So I will maybe ask Winan to do it because this should be done. But again, I will just send him a message here. Okay. can you please record the customer invoices? I need to do the VAT return. Thanks. Boom. Yeah. Maybe you can show us now how you will record those, and then afterwards I will be maybe able to do my work properly.
Thanks, Loïc. I understood your message. It's time for me to do my job, right? But before we dive into the invoicing part, let's have a small recap about what we've seen in this first part. So first of all, we've seen that for me as an entrepreneur, I can directly manage all my different documents in Odoo. I can not only manage all the documents, I can use also our application to have a real communication platform between my accountant and myself, so that we can communicate about all those different documents that we upload. But also in terms of asking for different kind of documents, here it was for my ID card, it can be for all kind of reports or documents that I can ask each other some uploads to perform, and thanks to the action button I will be notified. Secondly, we've seen that thanks to the powerful OCR and the artificial intelligence behind, my accountant didn't had a lot of manual work to proceed anymore, because most of the information was already completely pre-filled. And this is only because we're working currently on an OCR part, based upon getting the information out of a PDF or an image. But that's today. If we talk tomorrow, and we will come back to that later in the invoicing part as well, if we come into an invoicing period, well, it's basically only the format that is known in Odoo, which brings us to 100% automated entries, because we can cover that format. In this case, we still have some issues from time to time, because an OCR can never be perfect. But again, a lot of time that is managed by my accountant to spend on advice. And last but not least, we have seen that communication is everywhere. For the accountant itself, he can see for all of his customers' files in real time what he needs to do based upon the activities on all his different customers. And the entrepreneur itself, well, basically sees exactly the same, but then for his own environment, at every moment I can see all activities I need to do for every single application. So Loïc was very clear. It's time for me to process my billing, because I use Odoo as my management software. It's very easy for me to use, so that he can continue his work and manage the VAT return. So let's jump back into our database, and we can directly see that my accountant sends me a message, because the chat is completely part of the solution. We can directly see all the communication between me as an entrepreneur and my accountant. I also have the possibility to manage video calling, etc. But again, here, everything is centralized in the same environment. So now let's see how I can perform my invoicing part. And therefore, I'm not going to start into accounting itself. I'll open our sales application before. Because I use Odoo in order to manage my quotations, all my different quotations, sale orders are directly over here. I'm not going to dive too much in detail of the sales app, but what is great here is that based upon the invoicing policy of all those products, Odoo will directly point out what is ready to be invoiced. So I can easily dive over here and see all my different sale orders that are ready to be invoiced. So as from here, I can select all of them and in one single click create from the sales application into accounting all my different invoices. So I have the possibility here to create a consolidated billing. What is it about? I can see that I have 2 sale orders for the same customer. So I have the possibility to create one single invoice for multiple sale orders, or I can define to have one sale order, one invoice. Also in terms of start date, if we use the timesheet, we can define for what period we want to bill the different time to our customers. So if I'm good, I can just create over here, and now we create it directly from the sales application into accounting all our different invoices. And if we open the one for Umicore over here, we can see that all different applications are communicating with each other, because you can see here in the chatter that this invoice was created based upon 2 sale orders. But I can also dive into the hours recorded. So from here on, from the invoice itself, I can see all the different hours that were invoiced. And if I click on the task, I can see who worked on the task, what are the timesheets on the task. I can also drill down into the projects, etc., without leaving the screen for once. Not only the time, also the sale orders. We can dive back from the invoice to the sale order and see all the different sale orders linked to this customer invoice. So before we dive into the invoice itself and see how we can send them to the customer, I wanted to take the time also to show the contact form for a second. If from here on we dive into our customers, we can see all the different customers available in this database. And let's pick Brussels Airlines, for example. So the contact form, nothing special over here. We have all general information like the address, the tax ID, phone number, website, etc. The language is important. I only installed 3 different languages over here, but we manage all the languages that are available. But thanks to the language on the contact form, all official communication that will be sent to my customer, like here, for example, my dunning overdue invoices is automatically sent in the language of the customer. Now that said, most important part is of course the accounting tab. Because on the accounting tab itself, we will be able to define how we can send the invoices to our customer. And everything starts with the electronic format. If we have a look over here, we have different kind of formats that we cover currently. We might add more and more in the future, but the most important part is the BIS Billing 3.0, which is the common format in order to be able to send invoices over the PEPL platform. Now, very important to know already, Odoo is already a PEPL access point, which means that all of our customers can already benefit from our access point to send and to receive invoices directly over the PEPL platform. Now, the OCR can be used, of course, in combination. There is a cost for the OCR because we use Google technology to transform the image and the PDF in text to map. But because the format is already standard in Odoo, there is no additional cost linked to the usage of Odoo PEPL's access point. So first thing, of course, if I want to send the invoices to my customer, I need to know if they are linked to a valid PEPL access point as well. And I can do it directly over here. So I can directly verify this customer if he's attached to the platform so that I'm sure that he will receive the invoice as well. So that's it. Setup for my electronic invoicing is done. As an entrepreneur, I also want to follow up on my customers. So I have the possibility to manage my credit limits over here and activate for every single customer a credit limit, so that in this case, I want to be warned when I create a new sale order or a new sales invoice for this customer if he has more than 10,000 euros outstanding. Also that I can see directly over here. I can see how much he has opened for the moment. And also the days sales outstanding is very important for me to help me in the choose how much I can give him the credit limit. So that's it. And before we dive into accounting again, I wanted to take the time here also to discuss the different smart buttons that you can see over here. You will see them everywhere in Odoo, but I think the contact form is a very central place within Odoo, so good moment to talk about. The contact form is really central in combination with all the different apps installed. Because that's exactly what these smart buttons do. They will make it able to jump from one place into another application. For example, here, I can directly see the sales orders linked to this customer. If I come back, I can also see the subscriptions linked to it, the tasks linked to it, what is still due for this customer, or I can even see what I already invoiced to this customer. So basically everywhere I can drill down and have all the information behind to the related records. So that's it about our contact form. Let's jump back into our accounting application. Loïc already explained the different blocks over here. We already managed the purchases. Let's have a look at our invoices over here. So we have now 7 invoices to be validated. If I jump into them, I can see that the 4 that we created together are over here, and the 3 that we had before in the VAT return that Loïc showed are ready to be posted as well. So the only thing I need to do again, select all of them, and basically I can now post all the entries in order to post the journal entries to the general ledger and also create a sequence number for my invoices. Next step, I need to send the invoices to my customer. Of course, I'm ready for the invoicing period, so I want to send all these invoices over the PEPL platform. How can I easily cover that? I can easily dive into the invoices and use the possibilities to group by the PEPL stage. By clicking over here, I will see that I have my 7 invoices to be sent, and I can directly select them over here in order to send them over the platform. So in one click, I can click Send and Print. Based upon the settings on the contact form itself, we will have all the possibilities available. So I can just click on Send and Print. In this case, I will first download all the invoices so that basically I have the image also in Odoo itself. And because I mentioned that I want to send it over PEPL, we will create all the electronic invoices, upload them on the platform, and basically make them available for my customers. I could also activate the email because some of them still want also a PDF for their contact person at the customer as well. Both are completely possible to combine together. So now I send the invoices. Most important part, I want to make sure that my customers receive the invoices. So I can basically update the state here. So click on Fetch PayPal Invoice State. And if we go back to our invoices and we group again on the status, we will see that they are now in the pending reception. 6 of them are still waiting for approval. And there is one done. PayPal already confirmed that this one was received. I could also add the column, for example, the PayPal stage over here so that you can follow up. And if we dive into the invoice itself, in the chatter, we will see that this one has been sent through our access point and PayPal also validated the fact that my customer received it. So all good. I think I did what Loic asked me, but now that I'm here, I can also benefit from his work to make all my payments. So I can see the bills that he posted right away. They are now ready to be paid. Because I use Odoo as my management system, I can click over there in order to export a payment batch so that I don't have to create them manually anymore. So I can see all the different bills that are due here. We even cover the installments. So based upon the payment terms with your supplier, we can see here the one for Percy. I can click over there to see the bill again. But I can see that we have 4 parts to be paid every time with a different due date. We also cover cash discounts with the discounted amount. So I can use an easy filter to filter out everything that is due or for which I can use a cash discount so that I'm sure that I only pay what is due at every moment. And also here again, I can select all my different payments, register the payment. The only thing I need to do is with what account I'm going to pay, and I'm going to choose for the payment method SEPA, so that I basically will export that format. So as from here I'm done, I can create my payments. All my payments are ready. So I have 2 options now. Or I create directly my batch in order to perform the payments, or I wait till the end of the week, for example, to globalize all of them because I pay only once a week. Now I want to continue, of course, so I can select them all again and go to my action button in order to create a batch payment. So in this case now, I have one batch of 55K in order to pay all those different bills together. And because I selected the SEPA format, when I validate, I have the XML file directly in the chatter so that I can download it and upload it on my home banking. So now I'm really done. I have some bank transactions over here. I'm not an accountant, so I think it's up to my accountant again to continue. So also here I can get in communication with him as well. So let's send him a message back. Hey Loic, I did all the sales. I even paid my suppliers without your bill. So Loic, I'm done. I can see we have some bank transactions over here. I'm not an accountant, so I have no idea how to manage those. Maybe you can take over again.
Yeah, I will do it. I prefer. So let's dive again into my own account. And here you can directly see Winant's message. And I will go again to the accounting. As you can see directly here, I don't have any customer invoices that I need to validate because Winant did it. So I will now be able to focus on the bank. To receive bank statements, you can use our online synchronization. So you can connect with more than 27,000 banks, not only locally, but also worldwide. So I hope yours is in it. But as soon as the connection is made, we'll see every 6 hours if there are new transactions, and we will bring all those transactions into Odoo. You will see it directly on the journal itself that you will have different items that you need to reconcile. So you can just click on it, and then you have this view with on the left all the transactions that still need to be reconciled, and on the right what we call our reconciliation tool. The first one here, it's a payment we received from Brussels Airlines for a bit more than 5,000 euro. And we see that this one is directly linked with an invoice, but not exactly for the same amount. There is a small difference that is directly put on an early payment discount account. You can also go to the invoice, you click on it. You can see here that the client can pay this amount if he pays before the 10th of July. So we'll go back. I can see here, okay, it was paid the 4th of July, so I can give this discount to the client. I will just validate this transaction. Now I can go to the next one. Here we see it's a rent, so Winant is paying his rent every month, hopefully. And I don't want to manually put the right account each time and so on. So I created a rule that puts the rent directly on the right account, and I just need to validate this without doing anything else. Here we have again another one. It's a loan repayment, and when you are repaying a loan, you always have an amount of capital and an amount of interest. I don't want to do the split manually each time, so again here I create a specific rule for this, where I will have here my capital amount that is recording on this specific account, and my interest are recording on this specific expense account. And again, I can just validate this and I'm done. Here we see the batch payment that Winant made a couple of minutes ago. So again, here I can choose to search for all the invoices he paid, but can be difficult sometimes. So I will just dive into my batch payment tab, and here I can find all the batches that he made, and I will just select it, and directly you can see that Odoo will propose all the invoices that were linked with this batch, and I can so just confirm this transaction. Here I have a last one, payment from Voo. Don't have a lot of information, but I can always here try to search something. So I can search on the amount. I can see here then again different. I can combine this with, for example, another filter on the partner. But again, for Voo, for the same amount, I still have two different invoices. So I'm not sure the one I should link with this payment. So what I will do, I will just ask Winant, because I guess he has more information than me. So again, here I will do at Winant, can you please provide me more information, because I'm not sure. So I will just log the note, and I will, in the meantime, I will just put this transaction into check, because I don't want to put it on an account. I'm not sure of that. So I'll put it on to check, it disappears. But when I go back to my dashboard, you can always see on the journal that I have here one specific to check transaction. And hopefully as soon as Winant will reply, I will be able to put it on the right account. So Winant, maybe you can show us what you received or regarding this transaction, or maybe how I can handle this?
Yeah, I suggest that we do that in a couple of minutes. Let's have a small recap before we dive into the reporting. So let's jump back to our slides and have a small recap. So like in the beginning, Loic asked me to manage my billing. We've seen that it's very easy for me to manage all my invoicing in Odoo. And before I used the quotation, I can easily drill down from the quotation to all the different information and create my invoices right away. Also, sending them is very easy thanks to the setup that I do on the contact form. Depending on every single customer, we will provide the invoice in the right invoice depending on the configuration that we performed, and we can send them in one click to all of them at once. But also for my accountant, it's very easy to work on Odoo because my banks are directly synchronized in Odoo. He can really work on that real-time accounting because every 4 hours we fetch all the bank transactions if the bank is part of all of these. And last but not least, because we work together, I was able to benefit from all of his work and extract a payment file because we work together on the same environment. He put the bills in there. I don't have to put them manually anymore on my home banking. I can easily extract the batch and upload them directly. And because it's the SEPA format, everything is already pre-filled. So indeed, we've seen a lot of information that we can put in there for myself, from Loic. Let's have a look at reporting. And after that, I suppose that we can see how we connected together. There is a lot of reporting. I have different needs than you, Loic, but maybe let's start with the compliance one.
Yes. And before I'm really diving into the reports, I will also check a bit if everything is correct, because I know Winant did a lot. So I want to verify if everything is correct and if the right account were used. So therefore, I will start with my reporting, and here I have a journal report. I will go for my year 23, of course, and I will check the customer invoices. Here I will just remove what I don't want to see, and I will just select those ones. When I click on one, I can directly also on the right again see the image of my invoice. So it's really easy for me as an accountant to have this view to confirm everything, and as soon as I switch from line, I have the other document that appears, and so I can easily check if everything is correct. I can of course use the filters here, but I can also on the left see all the accounts that we used. And I see 71 accounts. I don't think this is something I used. I guess Winant put all those invoices on a wrong account. So I don't want to dive into each invoice to change them manually. What I can do is just select all of them and here use the right one. So this is the account that should be used. Select, I confirm, and it changes for all my invoices directly. And if I dive into one, this one for example, you can see in the chatter again just now that me as an accountant, I change from this account to this account. So you always have the information in the chatter of the invoice itself if you change something, but you can do it for 10, 20, 50 invoices at once. Now, I show you the customer invoices. Of course, you have exactly the same for the vendors, but also, if you scroll down, you can also see here a summary of all the VAT codes and VAT grids that are used during the period that you can select and choose here above. And what's also nice, you can audit them. So just click here, and then I have a view of all the grids that I used and all the accounts in each grid. For example, grid 83, I go here, I see those accounts, I see here different invoices. Just again need to click on it, and directly on the right you will see the document that is linked. So this is really easy to check documents and eventually to modify if I need to change something. Now, everything is fine. I checked everything. I'm ready to dive into my VAT return. So just one click, I see here now my VAT return with different amounts. If I want to see those more in details, I click on it. Again, I have exactly the same view here. I just can click on one line. I directly see the invoice on the right. So it's really easy to use. And when I go back to my tax report, I have different options. Of course, I can download it in PDF or in Excel or in XML. But what's really, really important is our closing entry, because it will reconcile, I would say, all the payable VAT and recoverable VAT on a current account VAT. And as soon as I post this entry, I will have again on the right the view of my VAT return. Here in the chatter, again, the VAT return in PDF in Excel, but it's also very important because we change the log date. You have log dates here, and you see that now my log date is set at the end of September 2023 because I just posted the entry for my VAT return at that date. That means that I cannot create new invoices with a VAT impact before that date, and I am sure that Winant will not create an old invoice. It will be directly on the new period and in the right VAT return. So that was it for my VAT return. But now let's check the other things I need to do as an accountant. And one thing, for example, is all my accrued expenses. And therefore, I will go to the Purchase app. And here I can just select all the purchases that Winant made. I don't need to look at them in detail. I can just select all of them, and I will here be able to accrue all the expense entries. Here I will change the date. Of course, I will put the end of the day, and I will put January 24 for the reverse. So here I will create the entry. Odoo generates two entries, so the one in December to accrue all these expenses, and one the next day to reverse this accrual. There are other things I need to do at year end, for example. I need also to reconcile all the open transactions. Therefore, I will just go to our reconciliation, and here you will see all the accounts where I can reconcile, of course, and also all the partners. You see, for example, here I have my customers and I see Odoo Belgium. When I open it, I can see different transactions, and I see here an invoice and here a payment for the same amount. Of course, I can select those two and reconcile, but I can also ask to Odoo to auto-reconcile those transactions. So I see here I put the date, I put the account, the partner, and I ask Odoo to reconcile one by one. I launch, and you can directly see here, I will just put the matching number. You can directly here see that those two have the same matching number, so the invoice and the bank are now connected, linked and reconciled to each other. But of course, you don't want to do that for each client and each vendor, for example. What you can do is also just ask Odoo to do it on all the accounts. So you see, I ask the auto reconcile, don't put a date, don't put an account, I just ask to opposite balances one by one, and I'll launch, and Odoo will search in all the information, and you can see here, for example, in my case, he provided and he reconciled different transactions together. Okay, so now I'm quite done with my work. Now I will show you how I can see all the different reports that I use as an accountant. So therefore, I go to reporting. I will start with my balance sheet. Here again, you can save it in PDF in Excel, but I will first select the date. I want to see my report at the end of 2023, and you have a lot of different options that you can use here. You can add a comparison, you can select some journals and so on. But if I just check the balance of 2023, when I scroll down a bit, here you can see then the profit or the loss of the year. When I click on it, I switch directly from my balance sheet to my profit and loss account. And here, if I want some extra information about, let's say, the turnover, for example, and here this specific account that Winant, I guess you should use a bit more, we can dive directly into our general ledger. And here you see then this account with all the transaction in the same period, of course. And you see we have quite a lot. You can even load more, and you see here all the different transactions. And again, if you want more detail about, I don't know, this one, for example, you select it, and then you switch directly into the invoice. And here again, you can see the link with all the other applications, because you have here the hours that are recorded on some projects maybe. You can dive into, you can see the sale order that is linked and so on. So from my balance sheet, I end up in the invoices itself and also the links with all the other apps. And I can just here come back to my profit and loss, and I can even come back here to my balance sheet directly. Now, I know that Winant wants this kind of report, but he wants others, and I don't want to extract them one by one, so I created a closing binder. And here you will see our balance sheet, profit and loss, and so on. And I will just select date end of last year, for example, and I will be able, in fact, to save this document in PDF or Excel. I will choose PDF. And I will be able to select the folder and also the tags in that should apply on this specific document. And as soon as I export this, it will in fact create one PDF in our documents application in the folder finance with the tags interim situation on it. So it takes a bit of time because it's a big one. There is a lot of reports, so it will be a big file. But you will see that in a couple of seconds, we'll see it directly in our documents application with the right information. So here we switch. We are now in our documents app. We see Workspace Finance with the tag interim situation, and here I can see my file with the balance sheet. You see it's 49 pages. So you see also the profit and loss, VAT return, and so on and so on. You really have all the information in the same document. And I will now just inform Winant that the document is ready for him. So Winant, report is available for you And now I've done my work. Maybe Winant, you can now show us the different reports that you want to see, and also how you were informed of all the things I just sent you, and maybe also answer to all my emails. Should be nice.
Yeah, thanks, Loic. That went very fast. I can't wait to see how you will transform all that time in valuable advice. But indeed, before we dive into reporting that can be interesting for me as an entrepreneur, let's jump back first in our inbox, because we can see that during the different, we can see that we have an invitation also for a new webinar, but we can also see that there's a lot of different information that came from Loic. First of all, he asked me in the very beginning to upload my ID card. Well, I directly received a notification with a link in there so that I can easily click over there in order to replace the placeholder by my ID card. Or I could also reply with the attachment and it will automatically replace at the right place in Odoo. It's not only this, we received the mail of Rosalie, thank you for that, Rosalie, but also in the bank account, we've seen that he asked me a question about a specific bank transaction. Also here, I have a link directly to the entry so that I can communicate with him on the bank transaction, upload a document or give some additional information so that he can do his job. And last but not least, he managed to do the closing binder for me. I received directly the communication here that it's done. And also here, I could directly dive into Odoo. So in order to show how we can communicate together, we can activate it by email as well. There is always a link to arrive at the right place in Odoo. So now let's end up with some reporting that is interesting for me. We had some very interesting reporting from Liek as an accountant, compliance-wise. But for me to follow up on my different KPIs and to follow up my business, I have some other needs. We have a lot of reports over here. I will not be able to show all of them. The most important one, I believe, is still the invoicing analysis. If we open it, we can follow up and have a look at our invoices. We have different graphs that can be set depending on what you want to see on the screen. But what is way more interesting for me is the pivot view. The pivot view is available everywhere in Odoo. But in this case, we're gonna verify everything that is linked to my outgoing invoices. And because we have all the KPIs available, I can, in one click, for example, see all my invoices per customer. And if I want to see them per month, I can directly change over here and obtain my invoicing per month, which is very useful information for me to follow up on my invoicing. If I want to see the detail, I can click on the total. It will dive into the invoices like we've seen many times before. What is way more interesting is that I can switch this one into a spreadsheet. So in one click, I can confirm and translate that pivot view directly within Odoo in a spreadsheet, which is not Microsoft Excel or Google Sheets. It's completely rebuilt by Odoo, Odoo spreadsheet, with the biggest advantage that it remains in Odoo itself. And all the information that you can see in the pivot remains also linked to the data we have in the database. Now let's see how we can play with it, because we can add some formulas around. I always use the same, but it's a very accurate example, I think, that you can set a budget per customer and follow up on your budget vs your actuals. So let's add a simple budget, for example, 1,000 euros for this customer, 2,000 euros for this one. I can use my known Excel formulas to drill down, to add a sum perhaps over here in order to have a total. And also here, I can add a formula to say, okay, this is my budget minus all my actuals in order to have that sorted out over here. So very easy to follow up on basically the totals, budget vs my actuals. I could also select all the records over here, and in one click I can insert a chart of it. Of course, I can change the colors, change the naming, etc. We're not going to do that right now. I will maybe make it a little bit more visible. And I can see that I took the total column, which is maybe not so interesting, so I can remove it right over here to have an overview of all the records also in the chart. And I can even drill down one step further and create some dynamic filters. Because we have all the records, all the KPIs available within the ERP, let's say, we can create filters, dynamic filters on all the relations. In my invoicing, I used the products before. So I can create a relation based upon the product. And if we go to the related model, which are the product variants, all the different products that I used, I can save it. And in one click, I have actually a dynamic filter based upon a related record in the database. So for example, I might filter on all my subscriptions. Based upon that, we will filter out all the invoices, all the totals based upon my product subscription. Okay, which is really great, but it might be from time to time a little bit too complicated for an entrepreneur like me to build this. So of course it can be done by the accountant or by an Odoo consultant or an Odoo partner. And as entrepreneur, I basically just want to be in my sofa on my tablet. I want to follow up on my company. So I can create this for him and add it to the dashboard. So basically from here, I can create a new file into my dashboard. I can name it invoicing analysis, and I will put it in the section, well, finance, of course. So by creating this, I transformed this into a dashboard, which is dynamic and available for me in my dashboard application. I will show right after where this application can be found. But what is way more important over here is that we can see that for my customer InBev, I have nothing invoiced for the month of March. So let's see what happens if I update my accounting. So let's jump back to the dashboard. We created the invoices right before based upon our sale orders. Now we're going to create one manually. So I just select my customer, which is InBev. I want to create an invoice on him. Add a product. Well, we used the subscription before. Let's use this one again and add some hours. So for example, let's make a huge invoice because Loic told me that I needed to invoice more. We can directly see that the credit limit, if it's exceeded like here, we can directly see this pop-up with watch out, there is already more than 18,000 open, so the warning is directly available. But if I'm okay with it, I can confirm the invoice in order to post it. If I'm not done yet, and if I need an analytic distribution, like here, I first need to fill in the analytic distribution before validating it. It's exactly the right moment to talk a little bit about the analytic distribution possibilities within Odoo. We have different dimensions possible. Basically, there is no limit in terms of number of dimensions. I only activated 4 of them over here. I took the example of Odoo. So let's fill in and see how we can analytically divide this invoice. So it's for the region Europe. For my department, it's of course the sales department. For the platform, well, it was for an Odoo online subscription. And in the products, well, let's follow up on the product subscription so that I divided this invoice in 4 different analytic plans. I could dive even more specifically in percentage and in total, but let's keep it simple over here and validate my bill. So when I confirm, I created now an invoice of 15,000 euros in the month of March. So now that I'm done, let's have a look at what happened with the dashboard. So let's go back over here, and we can see that the dashboard is a separate application that we can open right from here. Depending on the different applications installed on the database, we come up with a lot of different out-of-the-box dashboards without any customization. So for the sales application, for subscription, but also for finance. First of all, for accounting, we can see some interesting KPIs. I can easily change the period over here and to switch to 2023 to follow up, etc. We also added one out of the box for invoicing, where I can see the top invoices, top region. I can drill down over there every time to the records behind. If I want to follow up on some different benchmarks, I can see if my company is running well. And a lot of more different templates can be created. For example, as an entrepreneur, I don't understand the profit and loss that Loic presented right before. It's not very readable for me. I wanted to have a separate one. So basically, he created this one for me. I want to follow up per quarter, and I always want to see what about my gross margin based upon the budget that I foreseen, etc. Those kind of reports can automatically be prepared for me so that I only have to follow up based upon what I understand as an entrepreneur. Also, analytic accounting, we showed a little bit right before. We can create all kinds of reports, cross-analytic access. So in this case, I build a report, first of all, based upon the platform, then based upon the product, and the vertical access, I did it by region. So all analytic values, I can cross by them in order to obtain exactly the report I want to see on the screen. So, but last but not least, we have our invoicing analysis that we created right before, and you can already see that the invoice is automatically added for InBev. If I want to see where it come from, I can click over there in order to see the detail behind. But what I wanted to point out here is that all those kind of reports are updated in real time because all the data comes from Odoo itself. And all the formulas that you created around are updated automatically because of your accounting is updated in real time. And that was it for our live demonstration. Let's jump back to the slides in order to have a last recap and to discuss a little bit also the collaboration we have with accountants. So first of all, in terms of reporting, we've shown that for me as an entrepreneur, I can define all kind of KPIs in order to follow up on my accounting, which is not the legal accounting, but more the management accounting. So unlimited amount of dimensions, you can make it optional, mandatory, or not being available, depending on what you're creating. But also for my accountant, it's very interesting to work over here because as we've shown multiple times, he started in the profit and loss, drilled into the general ledger, to the invoice, to the hours spent on the invoice itself, even to the contact record. It was a possibility for him to drill down everywhere to understand really how my business works instead of just having some figures in my balance sheet. And last but not least, for both of us, it's easy to collaborate because he knows what I want to follow up on different KPIs on my accounting, so he can prepare some specific dashboards for me without needing an understanding from my part. I can just lay down in my sofa in the evening and look at it on my tablet in order to follow up on my company. That's exactly what we wanted to show you today. Maybe to end a little bit this session, I wanted to take also a few seconds to discuss a little bit what we are doing and how we are interacting with the accounting sector. Because I think everybody agrees, at least I think so, based upon what we've shown before, that Odoo is not a traditional accounting tool. So what we notified is that when we're working with accountants, it was very important for them that we onboarded them very well to understand how Odoo accounting works instead of a verticalized accounting tool. So that's why, since last year, we added to organize a lot of different Odoo academies, where we focus on onboarding accountants on using Odoo on the right way. So as you can see over here, we already did a lot of them. Last year, we were able to onboard more than 1,000 accountants on Odoo accounting, and we only want to double that figure this year. So we're not only doing it in Belgium anymore. As from this year, we're also organizing it abroad, not only in Luxembourg, but also in France, in the Netherlands, in Switzerland, and we're coming also to the UK in order to organize these sessions in order to onboard accountants on Odoo. And of course, best part for you, it's completely free. So don't hesitate to subscribe when we send you all those different email marketing mails. Last but not least, to come back to the very beginning, what I said when customers were asking us for accounting firms that can work with Odoo, we publish them on our website so that all of our customers can have a look at all the different firms that are published and that can work with Odoo accounting so that they can do it on the same platform. But it's not only interesting to be published. By the way, if there are any accounting firms among us, you can register yourself on the page so that we will publish you. It's not only about being published, we also want to create a relation with the community. So we want also to get in contact with the accounting firms or accountants that want to use Odoo. And we do it on 3 different ways currently. So first of all, we have a monthly newsletter. We try to focus on what is important in that newsletter. So first of all, we mentioned the upcoming events where we go with the accounting team, but we also focus on some interesting information for all accountants. If we receive a lot of similar questions, we try to put that in a small video or in an explanation step by step in order to provide it in that newsletter to inform everybody. But also we think it's important to share what we're doing and how we're gonna evolve in the future. So a glimpse of the future is also in there, working on when we're working on some specific features that we think might be important for accountants. We also point it out over there so that they already know that we're working on it. Secondly, of course, Odoo support is part of your enterprise license, but for accounting firms, we set up some dedicated support because we understand that accountants might have some specific accounting needs that are needing to understand the job. We have some guys like Loic with the team that all worked in an accounting firm before and can answer very quickly on accounting specific questions related in Odoo in order to make sure that accounting firms are not lost after those kind of sessions, but they have a contact person to contact as well, that know their job. And last but not least, because we want to push that collaboration between accounting firms and our Odoo customers on the same environment, we provide free users for accounting firms on Odoo Online. So if you are a published accounting firm, a recognized accounting firm, you have the possibility to connect on our paid subscription users on Odoo Online in order to manage the accounting directly on the same platform. So basically, that was it for us. Thank you very much for being with us. Please don't leave. We have a Q&A session right after, so we're back in a few seconds in order to answer all of your questions. Thank you very much. Greetings back. Will the video be available? Yes, the video. Yeah, okay. I see that our colleagues have already answered some of them. So sorry if I give a double answer, but yes, it will remain forever. Okay. How is the cybersecurity for this? Carol, I'm not a specialist in cybersecurity, but there is a dedicated page in at least if it's not answered already, there is a dedicated page on odoo.com. I think if you type Odoo GDPR or Odoo security, I think there is a specific page for it, so feel free to read it. Everything is written on our website on odoo.com/security.
Okay. I guess.
Arthur has a question like this. We will go through all of them. Yeah, just type it there. It's perfect. Okay. Is OCR standard in Odoo 17, Jan? It's already standard in Odoo since, I don't know, since I'm here. So I believe it's already standard before Odoo 12. However, in the different versions, we might have evolved some specific recognition data, but on all the available versions today, the recognition rate of the OCR will exactly be the same. So it's completely standard in Odoo 17, but also in the other versions. But like I mentioned briefly during the presentation, we use Google technology in order to transform a PDF file or an image into text. It's our own artificial intelligence that makes the mapping with the different fields in Odoo, but there is a cost linked to the OCR. I believe it's 10 cents per bill. One bill might be multiple pages. Because we use the Google technology to transform, the artificial intelligence is our own. Or can you easily see which client you're working? How can you easily? Yeah, Robert is a good one. Well, basically, you can see it on two different ways. First of all, if you are working in a multi-company environment, well, you will see the name of the customer over here. But specifically for accounting firms, there is, I don't know why I'm leaving the full screen, it's not necessary. There is a specific option for accounting firms. If you go to the settings over here, the settings of accounting, if you're working on multiple customers, when you activate on the bottom, I believe. Yes. If you activate here the accounting firm mode, both for customers, customer invoice or vendor bills, never mind. As long as you activate one of them, you will see that if you are in this mode, the name of your customer will be pointed out over here. So that if you switch from one to another, it's way more easy to capture. So if you're an accounting firm, you want to know on the customer you're working, and you don't want to see it in the URL of the database, just activate the accounting firm mode, and it will be pointed out directly. Does the accounting module allow downloading multiple invoices by selecting relating general ledger, minimizing? Okay, it's a good question. Basically, the answer is yes. However, we don't do it directly from the report. We don't do it directly here from the general ledger itself. There is two possible ways for you to do. If you do it for vendor bills, for purchases, for example, you can easily use the search, the groupings, etc., in order to obtain all the different bills on the screen based upon your filters. For example, only for a specific month, only for a specific year. Never mind. For example, if we take all of these of 2023, we have 35 of them over here. You can select them and print the original bills. And by printing the original bills, it will basically generate a PDF file that you can send among the general ledger, because the images of the different, I don't know why I did it, it's gonna take some time because it's 35 bills. But we mentioned the internal sequence number on the bill itself. I don't know if I can open.
Yes. Only I guess if you remove full screen, there you have it.
Okay, thanks. You can see over here, now we exported one file with all the different images. But what is great about it is that we keep the internal sequence number over here so that you can basically export your general ledger and one big PDF file with all the images, and the link with the general ledger remains here forever. Okay, can a customer add the accountant to be able to access the existing environment? Yes, so two things to know. Adding the accountant is nothing more than adding a general user. So in the settings, you have all the users over here. Your customer can add you over here, but in that case, if he's working on a paid environment, it will create an additional paid user. So always check it with your customer, of course. But like I mentioned on the very end, if you're working on an Odoo online environment, it's a question that you can ask your customer, because we have 3 different hosting platforms: Odoo Online, Odoo SH, and also on-premise. You might have the possibility to obtain a free user as an accountant, but it's only on Odoo Online. So that can be seen with your customer or with your account manager. If you want to know more about that, don't hesitate to check. But your customer can just add you as a normal user. If you're recognized internally as an accounting firm, nothing else needs to be done. They will not be upsold for that. Hello, Celine. Hi from Paris. Thank you very much thank you for the compliment. Communication platform is great. How is Odoo linked with fiscal packages? It's a good question. It's a question country by country, of course. Every country comes with a fiscal localization. Depending on the company you're working on, there might be some features available or not. I guess your question is specific for France. In France, we don't go further currently than the bookkeeping and the VAT return. We have the automatic EDI with the VAT return, but if you're talking about the liasse fiscale in France, it's something that we don't cover yet. We're planning to do it, to have it standard in Odoo, but currently the accounting firms that work in France with Odoo, they keep Odoo as the main, let's say, tool for accounting, and they have the possibility to export everything in FEC in order to upload it in another system in France to manage the fiscal packages. So currently it's the only way to work in France. For the other countries, it's always case by case. It might come, I hope it comes soon, but we're working on it in order to have the liasse fiscale also in Odoo standard. Question regarding depreciation. Yeah, if you can show us, please. How can I add old calculations like the, add balance sheet level and cost calculation? Okay. So it's a question I'm not going to cover completely over here because it's gonna take too much time. However, on the balance sheet itself, nothing needs to be done because it's part of your opening balance. If you need to import old assets in order to make sure that you continue to depreciate in Odoo, without going in detail, because it's too specific, don't hesitate to check this part with your consultant or with the customer you're working on. If you are in what we call the developer mode, you have the possibility to import assets from before. So basically, you have some different fields available in order to mention already what part of the asset is already depreciated before, so that you're not going to depreciate them again in Odoo, because before you had another legacy system. So no, it's possible, but it's too complicated to explain very briefly over here. So please check it with the consultant or the customer you're working on. Is it possible to load the information of our customers from an Excel file? Yes, Bert. Basically, everything that we did manually in Odoo, you can import it by Excel. So when we work with accounting firms or every kind of customer, I guess, we create some specific Excel templates so that for every single record that you want to import, like contacts, chart of account, invoices, there is a template to respect. If you want to upload by Excel, but we provide it when we collaborate, so that we basically explain you how it works. But the brief answer is yes, everything that you create manually in Odoo can be imported by Excel. Creatively can be set up by customer. What about the time period? Also possible to define per customer the time period. Did you understand the question?
Not sure to understand, no.
Me neither. Sorry, Bert. If you can be more specific, otherwise I'm not sure what you mean with it. Why is it hard to delete? Why is hard to delete in point of sales? Not sure that I understand the question, but point of sales is not part of the scope here. Which app and how to use it in Odoo to capture all the costs, including materials when producing? Okay, that's a very specific question, Rafael. I think it's a good question, of course, in order to see how you can follow up, but it's also involved with our production application and see how all of these are linked to eventually even project management. So I don't think there is one clear answer to see. Depending on the scope, depending on what you want to see exactly, it needs some qualification or from your business advisor to see how it can fit within Odoo, how you can get the information out of there. Or if you are working with a consultant, it's part of his job, of course, to check one by one with you the implementation of the project. Depending on how you manage your business, the extract needs can be different, so it's very complicated to give one straight answer. I think it's better to cover with your consultant directly.
We have the answer from Bert. So yes, it's possible, Bert. You see time period, payment 30, 60, 90 days. This is the time period he was.
Yes.
So of course you can
I
define
will
this
quickly
on
explain.
each customer.
On the customer contact form, like the one that we've seen before or the other ones, in the sales and purchase tab, you have the payment terms, specifically if your contact is a customer, or you have payment terms if they are a supplier. So one contact can be customer and or supplier. So of course, you can manage the payment terms directly over here. And depending on what you agreed with customer or supplier, the due date will be calculated automatically. And also the follow-up. Where were we? I think
there, yes.
Hello, hello. Wow, it's very far from here. Hello. My question is why the sales receipt function has the same writing on the journal. I'm not sure. I think the biggest part between I don't use it a lot, the sales receipt, to be honest. The only part in there is I think it's not mandatory to mention a customer or supplier, I believe. So it's to quickly, let's say, create some receipts, but it's not that much used, I think. When booking bank statements, at least not over here, maybe elsewhere. When booking bank statement, I encounter bank charges, including VAT. I've implemented the button to split charges into expenses and VAT accounts. Okay, despite selecting the correct. Despite selecting the correct VAT account, it doesn't reflect in the VAT report. It's very complicated to answer as well, because depending on your localization, the link with the VAT report is different. But in any case, the only link with a VAT report comes from the VAT grids. So in your case, I would check the tax code that you use. If here it's only for a Belgium localization. Let's imagine that we take purchase tax code. The only link with the VAT return are the tax grids that you can see over here. So you might need to check the configuration of the tax code used. It can only come from here. Is there an extra cost for the bank sync, Didier? Well, there might be. We have like we said, the possibility to sync more than 27,000 banks, depending on the bank you select. And here we are, of course, in a sandbox. But let's see. If you select one bank, here is only one example, you will see the provider that we use. Because, of course, we didn't create the connection with 27,000 banks ourselves. We use 5 different providers worldwide. In Europe, it's most of the time Saltech, Enable Banking, or Ponto. We provide 3 possible providers. Depending on the provider, it might be free or it might be paid. So Saltech and Enable Banking is always free. It's not actually free. It's there is a cost, but it's taken into consideration directly from Odoo itself. So for the end customer, there is no cost. If you use Ponto, there is a cost because you need a subscription with them, and I believe it's €4 per account per month. So it's depending on the intermediate that you use. But I believe that most of them can or are free. For example, a purchase invoice should create a debt, and in the journals, and the purchase receipt should go as expense, not created. Okay, I'm not sure. In any case, we have always the double accounting over here, so it's always cost against debt. But depending on the account that you mention on the supplier side, you can define the account used as a debt. I'm not sure that answered the question, but if you take a supplier, for example, based upon his setup, the account payable can be changed. If you want to follow up differently, if you want to don't use the supplier account, but another one, you can change it over there. But indeed, the receipt and the bill will always create a double entry, because we always cover the double entry in Odoo, so there will always be a debt. If you have multiple items in your banking, duplicate, for example, will those post? It depends. First of all, if you use the bank sync, there should not be any duplicates, because it's a little bit technically, but behind there is a unique ID per bank transaction. So basically, we cannot sync twice the same. If you create manually, of course, there is no check. So if you create on the same day for the same amount, the same transaction, they will all appear. Depending on the fact if you will post them or not, you might create duplicates. There is no specific check, but it can only arrive if you import transactions yourself, I would say. No Power BI needed. Indeed, that's a great resume of the last part. Multi-currency, yes, Natalia, without any issue. I'm not going to dive too much in detail, but in the configuration itself, you have the possibility to manage multi-currency.
Yes, there.
Yeah, multi-currency over here. So basically, you have all the currencies that are available that you can activate or not, and then you can activate the automatic currency sync on a manual interval, or most of them do it on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis based upon the European Central Bank or all the others that are available over here. And depending, of course, on your accounting currency, the automatic currency difference will be posted. Okay, I think we're done. We went through all the different questions. I think there is a last one that came in from another platform. Is Odoo 100% accepted by German fiscal authorities, or will you focus on accountability with DATEV? Currently, German accountants say it's not yet possible to do accounting only with Odoo. Yeah, it's a tricky question because I'm not a German expert, but I know that we're working or willing to work on the certification for the German market. I think indeed the certification exists. I do know that we're working on that, but I not know how far we are already over there. And on the other hand, well, it would be great to have the feedback. We have a DATEV export from Odoo, so that there is basically all the information that is needed to import in data is already available. If it's not complete, don't hesitate to create a support ticket to mention if there are some legal requirements that we don't cover, but there should be at least a data export. Cannot show it here because I don't have any German database, but you might export to data export. If it's not complete, create a support ticket. And for the certification, I hope it will come soon, but I don't know what's the status of it. But we have a company in Germany, in Berlin, so I think it's also important for us, so that might accelerate. Is it possible to use different exchange rates on the same date? No. You should remove the secondary currency on the account. I kind of agree. I never use it, and it's not necessary to use it. However, there's a lot of people that need it and that want to use, that like to use it to force a secondary currency. So in my case, for all of my customers, I always remove it. You don't need to fill it in, so don't do it. If you don't fill it in, it's not mandatory. So just remove it, and for people that use it because they want to report in 2 different currencies, they make it mandatory. Michelle, you're very welcome. Thank you very much for the feedback. Great that you appreciate it. I need all the Odoo video from basic accounting. It's all online. Don't hesitate to go on odoo.com. In the environment, we have a lot of video content online, and definitely for basic accounting. I don't know if you know where to find it, but if you go on odoo.com, you can find a lot of tutorials. I'm in French here. Let's switch to English. There is a lot of tutorials online in the community section where you have tutorials. And I believe that if you type accounting over here, you will find this one, the accounting and invoicing part. And if you click over there, this is all accounting basics. There is a lot of video content that you can watch. So have fun. Okay, maybe we take a last question before we end. How can you add the bank details IBAN on the PDF invoice when generating it? There is no specific field to do it, but most of the time what we do is that we just put it in a general section. So if you go to the invoicing layout, you can edit the layout over here. No, it's not that part. That's Chinese for me. If you go to the configure document layout, you can select all the different layouts that are available in standard. And what we most of the time do is that we put your IBAN account over here or in the company details. But most of the time, people just add it over here in the footer so that if you print the invoice, it's part of the footer. Okay, so I think we're done. Okay, very last question then. What happens if an account is managed in a different currency than the company's currency? It's all the accounting related entries will be, of course, in the company's currency. So it will have both actually. Okay. So thank you very much for being here. Don't hesitate to leave your questions or to send to our support if you have any other questions. But definitely, thanks a lot for being with us, and see you next time.
Thank you. Bye.